Hello, hi people. Well, today what I wanted to talk about was familiars. The idea of having a spirit ally, a spiritual ally. Um, Having a spirit that sort of draws to you and works with you and helps you out with things and helps certain people out. Now, and just firstly, I want to talk about what they do. What is it that a familiar does? Well, a familiar is there to help out your spells, help out your magic, any tasks that you ask it to do, it's there to do that. It's there to help people. It's also there to hurt people as well. You can also ask them to make a spell more powerful. You can ask them to intervene on certain situations around your life, on certain people. So that's really what they are. They're also a part of you, as well as you are a part of them. They are, through working with you and through various rituals that you do, you become a part of that familiar, and that familiar becomes a part of you. Hence the term familiar. You get familiar with that spirit. Now, through certain rituals, you get closer with the spirit, and they come in various different forms, different shapes and sizes. And what you need to understand is, a lot of the time in witchcraft, and just any sort of magical, spiritual practice, any spiritual practice that involves journeying into the other world, or creating a vortex or a portal into another world, certain things will notice you. Certain things will notice that you are working in another world, that you are working for another world, and they will notice you. And in the words of my mum, all they see is a light. So imagine it's almost like a moth to a light bulb. They don't see who is it, they don't see who is the light, they just see a light and they go. So that's why it's really important to protect yourself whenever you're doing spiritual work, because you do attract attention from other different beings. Now, 9 times out of 10, a familiar is a spirit that gets drawn to you, that gets attracted to you, and you want to work with them, and they want to work with you. So a lot of the time, it's just a case of a contract, so to speak, but bantering between you and the spirit. Now I'm just going to explain to you a little bit about the story of how I met my familiar. Now, I've been practicing witchcraft for a very, very long time. Over 10 years I've been practicing it for. And obviously I've just spells and magic, etc., and helping people and harming people and all this sort of stuff, just working in the craft, working in different magical traditions. So anyway, one night I went to sleep, as most people do. One night I went to sleep and I had a dream. And before I went to sleep, I noticed there was something weird in the room. Something felt strange, as if something was there and something was watching me. Now, I see spirits, but I couldn't see this, which really confused me. Anyway, I went to sleep and I had a dream. And the dream was I was in a forest. And through the forest, in the forest, I heard the bush, trees and bushes rustling as if something was in it, and I was petrified. I was absolutely terrified, because the dream was literally I could feel, I could touch, I could breathe, I could smell, I could taste. It was really strange, very physical. And the spirit came through and asked me, basically said, I've been following you around for a while now, do you want to work with me? And of course, this, in the dream, it felt like hours that I was speaking to the spirit, and I was like, well, what do you want in exchange? You know, and, you know, it was like, oh, I want blah, 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 and I was like, no, but I can make you this offer, you know, just sort of bartering down almost with a spirit, which was really hard. And in the end, I said, look, I will bed you, you will become my familiar, and we will work together, and I will feed you, and blah, blah, blah. And the important thing that happened was, at the end of this contract, it gave me his name. Now, when it comes to a familiar spirit, if you have a name over something, if you have their name, you have power over them. It's seen a lot in ceremonial magic, in the Goetia, it's in so many different traditions. But if you have a spirit's name, you have power over that spirit. Now, in regarding familiars with their names, if you have their name, again, you have power over them, you have control. But this is the most secretive part. You cannot give anybody else their name, because the other person that has their name will have power over them. So don't do that. Do not do that, because it will give them power over your familiar spirit, which is not what you want. The whole point of a familiar spirit is that it's a personal relationship. Now, obviously, this can be different in terms of coven life, in terms of life within a coven or coven. You know, there are familiar spirits that work with covens, and each member of the coven will feed them. But it's so important to keep their name secret. It's really important, because you know, you hold that power over that spirit and nobody else does. Plus, by having its name, you have a personal, secret relationship with that spirit. You form a secret relationship with that entity and with that spirit. So it's very important, the getting the spirit's name. So yeah. Then what I told the spirit what I would do, which was, I got very traditional, and you will need a pot in order to bed the spirit. You'll need a house, something in order to house that spirit. So I got a jar, and I got some cotton wool. And the cotton wool is to bed the spirit, is to literally bed it. And I placed a few things in there of power, some things that I knew would sort of up that spirit's power. Certain herbs, certain roots, oils, powders, etc. Certain things of power. So almost kind of like making a fetish for that familiar to bed in, so it absorbs that power. Now, I'll just show you what you have. Bear with me. Okay, so my flatmate seems to have taken the jars, but first off, you need like a jar. I use a jam jar, miniature jam jar. You've seen it in my other video, Tools in Witchcraft. I have it there, and it makes a like noise, like a pop noise. And that was just the spirit saying, shh, don't say anymore. I feel like I can talk about this now. He tells me that I can talk about this, so it's fine. Yeah, I have like a miniature jam jar and cotton wool and to bed the spirit. Now the next step is giving an offering of blood. And this is very traditional, but by giving an offering of blood, it is your life force, it is your energy. So it's almost, and it is something to link yourself to that spirit and to link that spirit to you. And you have to be very precise. Like I am, when it comes to using blood in rituals, yes, I'm a traditional witch, but I've rarely use blood in ritual. I do because I just don't. It doesn't feel right to me. Sometimes I do, but not regularly. But yeah, with a familiar spirit, I gave it a drop of my blood, and I do give it a drop of my blood every so often, and top it up when I have to. Pardon me. Now, you know, the giving of blood is very important. As I said, it's just a way in which that the spirit can link to you, and you can link to the spirit, and it gives it life. You don't have to give it. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really know any other way in which to not give it blood. Like, I suppose you could give it rice, or I don't know, make a stew for it, or give it something. But you know, this video is running out, so I'm going to do a part 2 on familiars.